Every single manager we talk to, doesn't matter the industry, they always say the same thing about those first 3 months in charge.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Every day feels like a week. It's just this incredibly intense, disorienting time. So many decisions, so much context flying at you.
It really is. And the material we've been digging into for this deep dive, it gets right to the heart of why that feeling is so common.
Okay.
See, the main challenge isn't really the sheer volume of work, surprisingly. It's more about the unprepared mindset. Our sources, they capture this perfectly. It's a philosophical shift almost. The real question in those first 90 days isn't what should I do? We all love our checklists, but it's fundamentally, who must I become?
Right. Okay, let's unpack that because that's a huge reframing. We're moving away from just like tactics and actions.
Exactly.
And towards this idea of transforming your identity. So for you listening, our mission today is to really distill this whole experience. We're going to pull out 4 surprising truths, look at 4 governing psychosocial laws, and then give you 5 really actionable lessons for mastering this transition from the inside out.
And when you think about the pressure of those 90 days, you might naturally assume the difficulty is just the sheer weight of it all. New systems, heavy workload right off the bat.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'd expect. Learning the org charts, the software, the team dynamics, all that stuff.
And that is hard, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But it's kind of the surface difficulty. What people consistently say is harder than they expected is the actual role transition itself. It's that shift, from being really skilled at your own individual work, maybe being the best at your specific job, to then successfully enabling other people to be skilled at their work.
Okay.
That means moving your focus away from the technical skill you mastered towards this completely different skill of, orchestration and leadership.
That distinction is so important. The hard part is changing yourself, not just rearranging your calendar. But interestingly, the material also points out something that's easier than expected, which is kind of encouraging.
Yes, and this is absolutely crucial. It's a strategic advantage you really need to use, the newcomer privilege.
Right.
Those first 90 days, they give you this permission that just evaporates later on.
Yeah.
You actually have the right to ask the quote-unquote naive question. You have the right to make mistakes, as part of learning. And you can learn publicly without needing to pretend you're this flawless expert already. You absolutely must use that privilege while it lasts.
So whether you're like the learner just absorbing everything, or the pioneer starting something totally new, maybe the new boss stepping into an existing team, or even the successor replacing a legend, all those paths,
All 4 journeys. Yep.
they all get that 90-day grace period. And apparently they all reveal some genuinely surprising truth, things that challenge our assumptions about how these leadership transitions actually work.
Exactly. Let's dive into those 4 surprising truths right now. They offer some immediate perspective, I think.
Okay, first one. What stands out about how others see you in this process? The external perception.
Well, what's fascinating, and maybe a bit counterintuitive, is how much of the work is sort of already done for you before you even start. Think about the learner journey.
Okay.
Surprising truth number 1. Organizations often prepare for the manager before the manager feels mentally ready. You might walk in on day 1 feeling completely overwhelmed, insecure maybe.
Definitely felt that.
Right. But the team lists, the transition docs, the budget line item, they're already there. They're waiting for you. The organization's belief in your potential actually precedes your own belief in yourself.
Wow. That's a powerful way to think about it. Like they already trust you, and your job is just to catch up to the reality they've already set up. Okay, what about the pioneer? The one starting a new division or product from scratch.
The pioneer. Their transition is often defined by surprising truth number 2, isolation. That feeling of being completely alone at the top, having maybe no one to really bounce ideas off initially. That's often the necessary tuition fee, as one source put it.
Tuition fee? How so?
They pay that price, that feeling of loneliness, to earn the right to define the value system for the new thing, to set the cultural norms, to establish how we work here. If you could push through that initial isolation, you get to build the cultural foundation from the ground up.
That really reframes isolation, doesn't it? It's an investment, not a sign of failure. Okay, now for the new boss stepping into an established team. They've probably been doing things their way for years.
Right. And for them, surprising truth number 3 is all about the incredible, almost underestimated power of the naive question when you aim it correctly.
Naive question again.
Yes. We saw this great example in the sources. A new boss inherits a team just completely bogged down in tactical details for a huge product launch,
Mm.
just spinning their wheels.
Mm.
And the new boss simply asks, hang on, wait, what do we really want to achieve with this launch, like in terms of market impact? That single, simple question just stopped everyone in their tracks. It forced the whole room to pause the busy work and actually recenter on the real goal.
I get the idea, but isn't there a point where just giving a smart command is, faster and more efficient than asking a naive question?
Maybe later on, absolutely,
Yeah.
but not in the first 90 days. The naive question does two things early on. It signals you're learning, which builds trust, and it encourages transparency from the team. And if it's a penetrating question, meaning it hits on a key assumption everyone else has just glossed over, well, that's far more powerful than 10 smart commands. It unlocks the team's thinking rather than just enforcing your thinking.
Okay. Clarity over speed, initially. Got it. All right, finally, the successor. Stepping into the shoes of someone who was maybe hugely successful, real legend.
Yeah, this is often the toughest transition, psychologically. And surprising truth number 4 explains why. The hardest part isn't matching their visible accomplishments. It's inheriting the invisible legacy,
Invisible legacy.
the predecessor's unseen hand. You quickly realize the previous manager wasn't just talented individually. They had built this whole ecosystem of established trust, unspoken agreements, internal political shields that protected the team.
Like, give me an example.
Okay, so maybe you realize your team always got their budget requests approved easily. Then you find out it's because your predecessor had a standing weekly lunch with a key vice president, a relationship you don't have yet. That protection, that informal shield, it just vanishes overnight when you step in.
Wow. Inheriting those ghosts, those unspoken deals, and the shields that are suddenly gone, that sounds completely exhausting. Okay. So we know these truths we face, but why do they happen? Let's talk about the underlying rules, the 4 deep psychosocial laws you mentioned that seem to govern these transitions, moving from stories to mechanics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These laws explain why those truths play out the way they do, pretty much regardless of the company or industry. Law number 1 is the role transition itself.
Okay.
The very act of moving from colleague to manager, it instantly changes the whole relational framework. Expectations shift overnight. The wisdom here, according to the sources, is managing a conscious transition. You have to clearly state new boundaries and expectations.
Right.
But, and this is key, while simultaneously keeping the human connection warm.
Okay, but how do you actually do that? How do you state a boundary without sounding like you're suddenly pulling rank and pushing everyone away? That feels like the trickiest part.
It is tricky. The key is communicating the why behind the what. So instead of just saying, our casual chats are over, you might say something like, look, I really value our informal relationship, and I want that to continue. But now that I'm responsible for resource allocation for the whole team, I need to make sure I'm treating everyone equitably. That means our quick hallway chat about Project X might need to become part of our formal one-on-one, just so I can ensure consistency and fairness across the board.
Ah, okay. So you're framing it around fairness and the new responsibilities, not just personal distance. That makes sense.
It signals professionalism without sacrificing the human touch.
And that foundation, that conscious role shift, leads right into law number 2. Identity precedes influence.
Yes, absolutely. Influence always follows identity. Who the team perceives you to be fundamentally determines how what you say is heard and received. So if you spend those crucial first 30 days demonstrating that you are, say, a fast learner, that you ask good, relevant questions, and very importantly, that you consistently keep your promises, however small, then your identity starts to form. You're seen as reliable, competent, trustworthy.
That sounds ideal, obviously, but how do you build that identity authentically in just 30 days without seeming, I don't know, fake or like you're just putting on a show?
Great question. Authenticity here comes from the alignment between your stated intention and your actual behavior. It's not about pretending you have all the answers on day one. Nobody expects that.
Right.
It's about modeling the behavior you want to see. Your primary identity in that first month should really be chief learner. By asking those penetrating questions we talked about and by delivering on the small promises like, I'll read that document by Friday, and then actually doing it and referencing it, that's how you build credibility brick by brick.
Authentically. Okay, so your actions create the perception, the identity, which then unlocks influence. Makes sense. All right. Law number 3 then seems to shift focus outwards to the team structure, from IC to system.
Exactly. This is probably the biggest skill shift required. You have to move from being the best individual contributor, the IC at the technical job, to becoming good at managing the system of the job.
The system. What does that encompass specifically?
It's everything around the technical work, the team's goals, the people dynamics, the processes they use, the rhythm and effectiveness of meetings, how feedback is given and received, the decision-making structures, all of it. And here's the big payoff they highlight. Investing just 1 hour deliberately fixing or improving the system. That can save you 10 hours of frantic firefighting down the line.
Okay, that's compelling. So if I've only got, say, 30 minutes free this week as a new manager, where's the highest leverage point to start fixing that system? Is it goals, meetings, or feedback?
Oh, meetings. Definitely start by observing the team's meeting rhythm. Are the goals clear for each meeting? Is everyone's time respected? Are decisions actually being made and tracked? If you can make the team's regular meetings more efficient and goal-oriented, you instantly remove a massive systemic drain on everyone's time and energy. Huge, quick win.
Excellent. Efficiency through structure. Love it. Okay, finally, law number 4. You said it's the most human one, maybe the most vital. Psychological safety and covenants.
Yes, trust. Trust is the fundamental energy source for a team. It's not a perk, it's not a luxury, it's the fuel.
Okay.
And to build this trust, this covenant, the manager has to proactively, consistently answer 3 core questions for every person on the team. And ideally, you're reinforcing this weekly. The questions are, I see you, I support you, and I expect from you.
I see you, I support you, I expect from you,
Yeah.
weekly.
When that contract, that covenant, is crystal clear and people feel it's consistently delivered, that's when ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things because they feel secure. They know where they stand. They know the boundaries. They know the expectations. It unlocks potential.
These laws really feel like the bedrock, the underlying physics of the transition. Okay, let's bring this home then. We started with the big philosophical challenge. We covered the surprising truths, the psychosocial rules. Now we need the practical stuff, the internal kung fu, as you called it earlier, the actionable framework for mastery. What are the 5 key lessons for someone starting this transition right now?
Right. These are the simple, repeatable actions designed to build that internal mastery. Lesson 1. Open with a double question. Make this a habit, maybe weekly. Ask yourself, and maybe even your team in one-on-ones, 2 questions. First, what was harder than we anticipated this week? Use those answers to identify and discard illusions or faulty assumptions quickly.
Okay, ditch the baggage.
Exactly. Second question. What was easier than we anticipated? Use those answers to find and amplify your strengths, your anchor points, the things that are working.
Forces that reflective clarity. Good. What's next?
Lesson 2. The 2 lists. Simple but powerful. Create 2 running lists, maybe just for yourself initially, about your team and its processes. List 1, what is currently working well. List 2, what should be improved or stopped. The rule here needs to be pretty binary, almost ruthless. Don't try to fix what isn't actually broken, protect the good stuff, but also ruthlessly prune or change what's clearly impeding progress.
Keep the good, cut the bad. Simple, effective. Okay, and since we hit on systems and meetings being key, what specific rituals should a new manager try to standardize right away?
That brings us to lesson 3, management rituals. The sources consistently point to 3 specific tools you need to get right, quickly. First, regular, predictable one-on-one meetings. That's your primary channel for building individual trust and understanding. Second, team meetings. They must be standardized. Clear goals stated up front, clear decisions captured at the end, and clearly defined roles, often using something like the RECI framework. Responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. It defines who owns what coming out of the meeting.
Right, RECI, clarity on action.
And third, standardized, high-quality feedback. Using a simple model like SBI situation, behavior, impact, helps keep feedback short, immediate, specific, and focused on the work, not the person.
Got it. Frameworks for consistency. So what happens as the team gets bigger, say past that initial small group?
It's lesson 4, decrease I, increase we. This is crucial. Once your team hits, say, 4 or 5 people, maybe more, the leader must consciously, deliberately start reducing their personal contribution to the day-to-day technical tasks.
Even if they're the best at it.
Especially if they're the best at it. Your job fundamentally changes. It's no longer about being the best individual worker. You have to actively increase the time you spend on coaching your team members, removing roadblocks for them, coordinating resources, connecting dots across the organization. Your value shifts entirely from personal output to systemic enablement, multiplying others' effectiveness.
That really is the ultimate test of leadership maturity, isn't it? Letting go of being the star player to become the coach. Okay, finally, lesson 5. How do you actually build culture if it's not about putting up motivational posters?
Right. Lesson 5. Culture building through small behaviors. Culture doesn't magically appear from a mission statement written on a wall. It leaks directly from the leader's everyday habits and behaviors. Small things, consistently done.
Like what kind of small things?
Things like consistently arriving prepared, maybe slightly early, for meetings, providing a clear summary of decisions and actions at the end of every discussion, giving timely, specific recognition for effort, not just results. And, crucially, having the courage to address difficult subjects or interpersonal tensions quickly and directly, rather than letting them fester and poison the environment. Those small, consistent acts shape the how we do things around here far more than any poster.
This whole deep dive, it's really been a masterclass in realizing that success in those first 90 days, it's fundamentally a test of your confidence and your evolving identity, isn't it? Not just about how fast you can pick off boxes on a task list. It's that internal mastery, that kung fu, that really paves the way for any external success.
Absolutely. It's an inside-out job. So as you, the listener, embark on your next transition, or maybe you're in one right now, just remember that the organization, well, they likely believed in you before you fully believed in yourself. Pay back that trust. Not through sheer, overwhelming effort that leads to burnout, but with 3 simple, consistent actions. Ask when you don't know. Deliver on every single promise you make, no matter how small. And make it your core mission to lift others up around you.
That's powerful advice. And let's build on that idea. We kept coming back to the power of the simple, naive question. Here's a challenge for you listening right now. Something to mull over this week. Apply it immediately. What simple yet truly penetrating question could you ask your team or even just yourself this week? A question that might just reveal a hidden blind spot or maybe even save a project before it goes off the rails. What critical assumption are you all making right now that really deserves to be questioned? Think about it. We'll talk to you next time.